Now, simulan natin kay Gantt chart. Ito na yung visualization ng chart para mas maintindihan nyo. Kung makikita nyo dito sa y-axis, nandito yung mga activities. Yung mga activities na ipe-perform sa project. Si activity A, activity B, activity C, D, E, F. Dito naman sa baba yung time frame, yung time duration ng performance ng activities. So makikita nyo dito, para kay activity A, mag-i-start sa start ng January until sa ending part ng March. Si B, sa 2/4 ng January o sa second quarter part ng January hanggang sa end ng project. Si C, dito, kung makita nyo, nag-overlap yung mga activities, pwede yan. So, ang pinapakita lang, ang purpose lang talaga ni Gantt chart is to give a visualization aid sa activities and yung sa duration nila. Yung mga overlapping, para mas maintindihan ng decision maker yung process ng project. Yung proseso, paano yung project, gaano katagal yung project, ano yung mga activities na overlap, kailan matatapos, para mas maging klaro sa kanya yung data. Kasi pag naging mas klaro sa kanya yung data, mas magiging maayos yung kanyang decision making. Kasi alam natin, kapag mas maganda, if yung data na visualize natin, kasi mas naintindihan natin. Yun yung purpose ni Gantt chart. To visualize the data, to visualize the process, to visualize the activities together with the respective duration. Para mas maintindihan ng decision maker, para yung decision maker, mas maganda yung decision na kanyang i-decide or kanyang pipiliin. Now, pumunta tayo kay learning curve. Ito si learning curve, mathematical talaga to siya. Pero gets nyo naman yung concept. Kapag nagiging ng experience yung worker, mas nagiging efficient, mas nagiging mabilis siya sa kanyang trabaho. Now, Wind Company expects an 85% learning curve. The first batch of a new product required 500 hours. The first 4 batches should take an average of, so gaano daw katagal yung iti-take para matapos yung first 4 batches. Considering daw na may 85% learning curve and considering na yung first batch, nung unang beses na ginawa, yung unang batch na ginawa ng new product, tumagal ng 500 hours. So dito, units na to, meaning yung product, meaning yung batch, first batch, second batch, then yung fourth batch. As you can see, ito yung kanina natin sinasabi na, balikan natin, saan si learning curve? Kita nyo, the cumulative average time per unit, kung saan average time per unit for all units produced so far back to and including the first unit made, produce assumed to decrease. Nababawasan yung cumulative average time per unit considering that the total output doubles. So nakita nyo dito, 1, first nagdoble ang output, naging 2. Dumoble yung dalawa, naging 4. Bakit? Kasi every time na nagiging double yung output, nagkakaroon ng or napapakita yung learning curve na visualize, na bibigyan ng number, which in this case is 85%. So, ilan daw yung hours na matitake to produce the first 4 batches? Well, dito nakalagay. Para ma-produce yung unang batch, 500 hours ang kailangan. Then, yung learning curve daw is 85%. So, yung 500 hours, mababawasan yan. Since, nagkaroon ng experience yung trabahador from working the first batch. So, pagdating ng second batch, habang ginagawa niya yan, may experience na siya. So, since may experience na siya, ano mangyayari? Mas nagiging efficient siya sa kanyang trabaho. Nagkaroon ng learning curve. Mas naging maayos, mas naging efficient, mas napabilis yung kanyang trabaho. So, don't expect na 500 hours pa rin yan. So, since 85% yung learning curve, naging 425 hours na lang ang kailangan para tapusin tong second batch. Which galing sa computation na 500 hours times 85%. 85% learning curve. So, ulitin natin. Nung first batch, gumawa siya ng yung first batch, ginawa niya ng 500 hours. Siyempre, newbie, bago pa lang. So, 500 hours daw. Now, since may learning curve daw na 85%, ibig sabihin, after niya gawin yung first batch, mas nagkaroon na siya ng experience. Mas alam niya na kung anong gagawin. Now, since alam niya na kung anong gagawin, anong effect? Mas magiging mapabilis ang trabaho, mas magiging efficient yung trabahador. Now, how efficient? Yun, kina-quantify natin dito. So, pagtapos siya ng second batch, or the second batch will take him 425 hours to finish, considering na 85% yung learning curve. Kasi, from producing that first batch, paulit-ulit natin sinasabi, mas nagkaroon ng efficiency worker. So, kaya naging 425 hours na lang. Ang computation dyan is 500 hours times 85%, which is the learning curve. Now, ang question kasi dito, class, the first 4 batches should take an average of. Now, natapos siya ng gawin yung second batch. Ano daw yung gagawin niya na yung next 3 and 4 batches. So, alam natin, since mas nadagdagan yung kanyang experience, mas mababawasan yung time para sa i-produce siya yung product. So, gaano nabawasan? Well, dito ang computation. 425 times the 85% learning curve, which is 361.25. Now, ito na yung magiging hours o yung average hours, cumulative average hours para ma-produce yung next 4 batches. Yung 4 batches kasi mas nagkaroon na ng experience si worker. So, ang kailangan niya na lang is 361.25 hours. Now, pumunta tayo dito sa next. A learning curve of 80% assumes the production unit costs are reduced by 20% for each doubling of output. What is the cost of the 16th unit produced as an approximate percent of the first unit produced? So, as we can see here, assume that production unit costs are reduced by 20% for each doubling of output. So, simple lang. Ano daw yung cost ng 16th unit produced as an approximate of first unit? Same lang sa kanina. Pag first unit, yung accumulated time is 1. Then, nagka-learning curve. Mas natutunan, times nyo lang, 0.8, continue. Now, pagdating daw sa 16th unit, ano yung approximate cost? Ang magiging answer dyan is 0.41 cumulative time average. Na pumunta tayo sa mas in-depth ng learning curve, in-depth computation. Kasi ito, pinapakita yung cumulative average time. Ito yung basic part ng learning curve. Now, dito tayo sa medyo in-depth kasi dito na yung na-test yung fundamental understanding nyo. Si SoftInk daw has a target total labor cost of 3,600 pesos for the first 4 batches of a product. Labor is paid 10 pesos per hour. If Soft expects an 80% learning curve, how many hours should the first batch take? So, kung makikita nyo dito, ang pinakita is yung totality. Kasi tinatanong dito, how many hours should the first batch take? As we know, ang na-produce niya is 4. So, ganitong visualization yan. Itong si 3. Since doubling ang output ng nag-doubling yung output ng under sa assumption ng learning curve. Now, average hours after 4th batch, which is 3,600 divided by 10, which is the price per hour. So, 3,600 divided by 10 is 360 hours. Meron kang 360 hours. Now, since there are 4 units, saan ang place your pointer na to? Since there are 4 units, divide mo rin by 4. Kasi 3,600 divided by 10 is 360 hours. And since there are 4 units, divide mo para ma-average mo na per unit, there are 90 hours para gawin. Kasi average ang tinatanong eh. Ang average ang hinahanap eh. Now, alam mo na, per unit, 90 hours ang kailangan. Kailangan mo na ngayong hanapin yung hours used by the first batch. Kasi, nung first batch yan, siyempre, newbie. Wala pang experience. So, expect na yung 90 hours na yan, mas tataas. Kasi dito, ang assumption kasi dito, average hours after fourth batch. Ibig sabihin, nakagawa na siya ng 4 na batches. So, ang assumption mo dyan, since nakagawa na siya ng 4 na batches, mas nagkaroon siya ng experience. Mas alam niya na yung gagawin niya. Mas naging efficient siya sa trabaho niya. So, expect na bababa yung oras na kailangan niya para gawin yung trabaho niya. And in this case, yung oras na yun is 90 hours. 90 hours. Now, ang tanong kasi dito, class, nung nag-start siyang gawin ng first batch, ilang oras yung kinain? Ilang oras yung kinailangan niya para gawin yung first batch? So, using common sense, after the fourth batch, 90 hours yung kailangan, expect na, since first batch yung tinatanong, mas mataas sa 90. Kasi, yun yung first batch na gagawin niya eh. So, ibig sabihin, wala pa siyang experience. Ibig sabihin, hindi niya pa alam kung ano yung gagawin niya. So, it will take more time for him to produce. So, expect na mas mataas yan sa 90 hours. Gaano kataas? Well, ito yung solution. Hours used by the first batch. Kasi yung kailangan hanapin natin. Well, ang sabi dito, 80% yung learning curve. So, ang ginagawa natin dito, minumultiply natin dito, i-divide nyo. Kasi mag-work back ka. Kasi kailangan mong alamin ano yung time na kinain niya para gawin lang yung first batch. So, 90 divided by 80, 80% divided by 80% rin. Bakit? Bakit dalawang beses, sir? Kasi tingnan nyo, dito yung binigay na 90. So, para malaman nyo yung kay 1, sa first batch, times 80, times nyo ulit by 80. Kasi dalawang doubling of output kasi class eh. Tapos fourth batch yung binigay na item. So, ang first batch ang tinatanong. So, kailangan yung ibalik ng dalawang beses. Kaya, dinivide siya by 80 dalawang beses. So, 90 divided by 0.80 divided by 0.80 is 140.63 hours. So, yun. So, ibig sabihin, nung first batch, it took him 140.63 hours para gawin. So, then, after niyang ginawa yung, after niyang gawin yung first 4 batches, mas nagkaroon siya ng experience. So, ang kailangan na lang is 90 hours. Kasi, mas nagkaroon na siya ng experience. Pero, nung newbie pa siya, nung wala pa siyang experience, 140 hours yung kailangan niyang gawin or kailangan niyang i-take para makaproduce ng first batch. So, yan yung logic. Na pumunta tayo sa dito sa problem na to. Sulit Company plans to begin production of a new product on July 1. An 80% learning curve is applicable to Sulit's manufacturing operation. So, 80% yung learning curve niya. Now, if it is expected to take 1,000 direct labor hours to produce the first unit, how many direct labor hours should it take to produce the third and fourth units? So, alam mo na nung first unit, ang kailangan 1,000 direct labor hours. Tapos, ang tanong dito, paano? Ilan naman ang kailangan na direct labor hours para kay third and fourth unit? So, common sense, logic will tell you na mas mababa sa 1,000 direct labor hours to produce the third and fourth units kasi by the time na produce siya na yung ipoproduce siya yung third and fourth units, may experience na siya. Alam niya na kung anong gagawin niya, so mas mababa yung time na kailangan niyang gawin yan. Now, ang tanong dito is yung si third and fourth unit. Na as you know, sa table ni learning curve, doubling of output. So, doon lang nagkakaroon ng changes or doon lang nagiging true yung assumption ng learning curve na, for example, magiging 80%. So, dito, ulitin lang natin si 3 kasi doubling of output ang kailangan. Doubling of output ang assumption para kay learning curve theory. Now, makikita natin dito, Dito yung formula sa baba, or dito paano sa isolve. Now, the cumulative average direct labor hours after 4 units is 1,000 times 0.80 times 0.80. So, as we know, kay 1,000 yan, times ng 0.80, maging 800. Cumulative average, cumulative, cumulative average. Tulad lang sa table dito. So, dito nakalagay, cumulative average direct labor hours after 4 units. Nung first batch daw, kailangan niya ng 1,000 hours para gawin. Nung second batch, or yung second unit, 800 hours na lang ang kailangan. Kasi mas nagkaroon na siya ng experience. Now, pagdating ng first batch, ang cumulative average na lang is 640. Kasi 1,000 times 0.80 is 800. 800 times 0.80, which the learning curve, is 640 hours. Now, kinulang ako sa hininga. Now, considering that, 640 hours ang kailangan to produce 1 unit. Now, hanapin naman natin yung total direct labor hours after the 4th units. So, which is 4 times 640. Bakit? Kasi 4 units. Tapos, 640. Ang kailangan, ang cumulative average time, it's equals to 256. Now, bakit natin ito ginagawa? Well, mas maintindihan nyo because of this follow-up. Less total direct labor hours used after 2 units, which is 1,600. So, makikita nyo dito, parang sineparate. Bakit ito nawala? Parang sineparate. Ang ginawa, hinanap yung totality. Which is 2,560. Hinanap yung totality. Then, since alam mo na yung totality, hanapin mo yung piece na kung saan may alam mo. Alam mo kung ilan yung Alam mo kung ilan yung magiging total, which is the first 2 units, which is 1,000 times 0.08 times 2. Bakit 2? Kasi 2 units nang na-produce mo. So, since nalaman mo na yung totality, and alam mo kung ano yung ibabawas mo sa totality, which this one, 1,600, yung matitira nun, which is the 960, expect na yan yung ginamit to produce the 3rd and 4th units. So, gaya ng sabi ko, medyo nagiging math na talaga tong quantitative techniques na topic na to. Well, wala tayong choice kasi ganun talaga yung discussion niya. So, ulitin natin para mas mag-gets. Si Sulit Company plans to begin production, tas 80% ang learning curve, tas sinabi dito na to produce the first unit, 1,000 direct labor hours ang kailangan. Now, pero ang tanong, ilan naman yung direct labor hours na kailangan to produce the 3rd and 4th units? Ilan yung direct labor hours to produce the 3rd and 4th units? Now, expect na mas mababa yan sa 1,000 hours kasi pagdating ng 3rd and 4th units, mas experience na si worker. Mas alam niya na yung gagawin niya sa process, mas magiging mabilis na sa trabaho niya. Mas mababawasan yung direct labor hours. Now, gaano nabawasan? Well, yun ang isosolve natin. O yun yung tinatanong ng problem. So, bago yan natin gawin, kailangan hanapin muna natin yung cumulative average direct labor hours after 4 units. Which is, yung pag-follow sa table na to, which is dito, 1 for the first unit is 1,000 ang kailangan. For the second unit, 800 na lang to produce ang cumulative average. Na pagdating ng fourth, which is the doubling of output, the fourth unit, 640 hours na lang ang kailangan to produce a unit. Kasi mas naging experience ka na. So, dito, ang meaning ng 1, para makapag-produce ka ng isang unit, 1,000 hours ang kailangan mo. Pero pagdating mo sa production mo ng 4th unit, 640 hours na lang ang kailangan mo to produce a unit kasi mas naging experience ka na. Now, 640 ang cumulative average hours after 4 units. Now, alamin mo na yung total direct labor hours after 4 units. Bakit? Kasi, alamin mo yung totality, kasi from that totality, babawasin mo yung alam mo, kasi kung anong matitira, yun yung hinahanap mo. So, makalos, di ba? Pero yun yung logic nun. So, ano yung total direct labor hours after 4 units is 4 times 640, 2,560. Now, since alam mo, or now, alamin mo yung total direct labor hours used after 2 units, which is 1,600. Which is, dito, 800. 800 times 2 is 1,600. Ibawas mo sa 2,560. Yung 960 na yan, yan yung total direct labor hour used by the third and fourth units para ma-produce sila. So, yan yung logic ni learning curve. So, I hope na gets nyo. Now, pumunta naman tayo sa sa PERT pati sa critical path. Now, paano tong discussion sa kanila? Well, gaya na sabi ko, magpinsan to sila kasi parang same lang pero iba yung concept na tinatarget nila. Si PERT, ang tinatarget niya is yung event, yung from the start to finish, yung time, kung gaano katagal or duration ng event. Si critical path naman, ang focus niya is yung activities, particularly the activities to cost ratio, or particularly yung time to cost ratio, to cost relationship. Kasi ang focus ni critical path is basically worth it bang gumastos ng ganitong kalaking pera or mag-incur ng ganitong kalaking cost just to shorten the duration of an activity. Now, ito ang problem. Given the activities of the whole operation of Pogi Corporation. So, activity AB to AC, BE, BD, CD, DED, blah blah blah. Ito yung duration nila. So, para mas ma-visualize nyo or para mas maintindihan, kailangan nyang i-visualize using a PERT diagram. Kasi, illustrate the whole operation of Pogi Corp using PERT diagram. Which is this. Kung makikita nyo, A to B is 5. A to B, it will take 5 months. A to C, it will take 3 months. Boom, boom. B to E, 7 months. Ito. B to D, 6 months. So, event C to event D, yung activity nila, will take 7 months. D to E, 3 months. Yung activity from D to F will take 10 months. D to F, 10 months. Si E to F, 8 months. So, yan ang visualization nila. Now, kita nyo na, itong visualization ng PERT diagram. Now, second question, how many paths are present in the whole operation? Ilang paths daw? Well, dito ginagamit ang common sense. Ito, nilista ko ng path, pero para mas maintindihan nyo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yan yung first path, si ABEF. Tandaan nyo, path from end to the finish event, starting event to the finish event, and ending event. Ilan yung path meron? First, itong path, next path is si A, B, D, F. A, B, D, F. Yan yung second path. The next path na mahanap nyo is yung ACDF. A, C, D, F. A, C, D, F. Now, dito tab. Ang next path naman makita nyo is yung A, C, D, E, F. A, C, D, E, F. And lastly, ang path na meron is yung A, B, D, E, F. A, B, D, D, E, F. So, merong 5 path sa whole operation. Kasi, ito yung beginning, ito yung ending. Ilang path ang pwede mong daanan para makarating ka from beginning to ending. Ilang path yung pwede mong madaanan para makarating ka from beginning to ending, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, merong 5 paths. Sulat pa ba natin? May 5. Now, next question. Hanapin ang critical path. O, ito na-discuss natin kanina. Pero balikan natin yung slide. Oh, kinukulang ko na yun. Kulang ko sa exercise. So, ano to tong si critical path? Kung makita nyo, longest path through the project. Longest path through the project, for which it dictates the duration for the whole project since it is the path with the longest time. So common sense. So, dito nakalista na. Inad ko na to. Nilista nyo na. O, si ABF, 20 months. Ito, si 21. Ito, 20. Ito, 21. Ito naman, si ABDF daw. Saan yung mouse? Si ABDF daw, 22 months. So, expect na ito na si critical path. Kasi, from the definition of critical path, sinabi na ito si longest path. Kasi ito yung path na magdidictate ng whole duration ng project. Kasi ito yung may longest time. Kasi itong path na to, sakop niya lahat ng activities required, o lahat ng events within the project, lahat ng activities na kailangan gawin sa project, sakop ni critical path kasi siya yung may longest duration, which in this case is 22 months. So, by 22 months, sakop niya to lahat. Kasi kung titingnan mo tong ibang to, 20 months. Na, kung 20 months yan, hindi niya matatapos yung other activities needed. Itong 21, hindi rin niya matatapos. Si 20, 21, same, hindi nila matatapos lahat ng activities needed. Kasi may mga activities na hindi niya magagawa because hindi niya sakop lahat. Pero itong si ABDF, siya yung pinaka-longest month. And considering that, ibig sabihin, lahat ng necessary activities dito, lahat ng events, lahat ng kailangan gawin, within that 22 months, matatapos or natapos. Kaya nga, sa si critical path. Now, para mas maintindihan yung concept ng ito, sana yun, si shortest time possible to complete the project. Kasi sa gaya na sabi natin, si critical path, siya yung longest time kasi, longest time or longest path, kasi pinapakita yung overall duration kasi lahat ng activities needed kailangang matapos. Lahat ng activities sa project kailangang matapos. And considering that, siya yung shortest time possible. Bakit? Kasi, kung makikita nyo, kapag lahat ng activities na to nagawa, lahat ng kailangan gawin, eksakto nagawa, within schedule, walang extension, walang delay. So, pag ganun, ibig sabihin, 22 months lang, tapos ng project. Yan yung shortest time. Kasi walang extension, walang delay, lahat ng kailangan gawin was on schedule. Lahat ng kailangan tapusin, natapos. So, within that 22 months, that is the shortest time possible to finish the project. Kasi walang extension na kailangan, walang delays na nangyari. Kaya siya yung kino-consider na shortest time. So, yan, si critical path. Si critical path, siya yung longest path. Kasi, lahat ng activities sakop niya. Lahat ng activities na kailangan gawin, under sa kanya or nasakop niya. It is also considered the shortest time possible kasi kapag nagawa mo lahat ng activities na yan, walang delays, walang extension, siya yung shortest time needed to finish the project kasi walang delays, walang extension. Yan si critical path. Napunta sa next question. Find the critical path. Ito, what is the slack time? O, ito na, slack time. So, balikan natin yung slide ni slack time. So, ano yung si slack time? Oh, amount of time that can be added to an activity without increasing the total time required on the critical path. So, basta daw, pwede kang magdagdag ng oras sa isang activity. Basta lang, huwag kang lumampas sa duration ng critical path. The length of time an activity can be delayed without forcing a delay for the entire project or operation. Now, as manager, slack time can be used to delay some activities that may result to savings, decreasing costs without delaying the whole project. So, considering this problem, ano yung slack time? The slack time is 1 month. Bakit 1 month? Sana yun? Kasi, si 22 months sa yung critical path. So, ang sabi, wag kang lalampas sa critical path. Pwede kang mag-delay ng project, pwede kang mag-delay ng activities, basta wag kang lalampas sa critical path, sa duration ng critical path. Wag kang lalampas sa 22 months. Now, considering these activities, kung makikita nyo, so evaluate nyo yan, tingnan saan mga activities na pwede nyong i-extend. Now, dito, ang magiging answer dyan is 1 month. Bakit? Kasi tingnan nyo yung second highest activity, second highest duration. Tingnan nyo yung second highest duration because that second highest duration will be the determinant kung gaano katagal yung pwede nyong ma-extend, gaano katagal yung pwede nyong ma-delay within the activity, which is 21 ang nakalagay dito. So 21 ang duration na, ang second highest duration. So 22 minus 21, 1 month ang pwede nyong ma-delay. Pwede nyong ma-delay. Ano bang proper term na gamitin? Kasi baka malos kayo sa term eh. Amount of time that can be added to an activity without increasing the total time required sa critical path. Kasi kung makita nyo, kung gagamitin mong basis ang 20. So, ang diferensya sa critical path is 22 months. So, sabihin natin, sige, since ganun yung nangyari, yung 20, dagdagan natin ng 2. So, magiging 22 na siya. Sakto, hindi siya lalampas sa critical path. 22 rin. Kaso, tingnan nyo rin yung ibang activities. 21. Na pagdadagdagan nyo to ng 2, magiging 22 sila. Na, lumampas ka sa critical path, nagkaroon ka ng delay sa project. So, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin tong 20. Kasi, pag ito dinagdagan mo ng 2 months para mag-equal sa critical path kasi hindi ka lalampas, dadagdagan mo rin to sila eh. O, tingnan mo, may AB ka dito. So, dagdagan mo dito. O, may EF ka pa dito. So, dagdagan mo rin to. Na, problema yan kapatid. So, hindi mo pwede gamitin 20 months kasi, gaya na sabi natin, ang difference sa critical path is 2 months. So, pag i-add mo yung 2 months dito sa 20, magiging 22 months na rin siya. Hindi ka lumampas sa critical path. Kaso, yung 2 months na yan, idadagdag mo rin dito sa kanila. So, pag idadagdag mo yun dito sa kanila, nagiging 23 sila. Na, pag gano'n na nangyari, gaya na sabi natin, lalampas siya sa critical path. Nagkaroon na ng delay sa project. So, hindi pwede ang 20. Pero, kapag yung 21 ang gagamitin mo, sa yung second highest 21 ang ginamit mo. Pag dinagdagan mo yun ng 1 month, equals 22. Hindi ka lumampas ng critical path. Meron kang allowance na 1 month. Now, important, 1 month. Meron kang extra 1 month. Now, kapag idadagdag mo yun sa ibang path, sa ibang activities, magiging 21 din to sila. So, hindi lumampas ng 22 months. 21 lang eh. So, ulitin natin, applicable lang 21 kasi ang allowance siya from the critical path of 22 is 1 month. So, itong mga 21, pwede mo silang dagdagan ng 1 month na kung saan sakto ka lang sa critical path. Pwede ka mag-add ng time. Now, with that 1 month, i-add mo yun yan sa mga 20. Kung saan, ang magiging result is 21. Now, with that, ang magiging mangyari is hindi lalampas sa critical path. So, ibig sabihin, ang allowance na pwede ka lang meron is 1 month. So, 1 month. Kasi, ang purpose is wag kang lalampas ng critical path. wag kang lalampas ng duration ng critical path. Now, punta tayo sa pang-limang question, which is what is the shortest time possible to finish the whole operation of Pogi Corporation? Now, ano meaning yan? Si critical path. So, ilan si critical path? 22 months. So, 22 months. So, yan si critical path. Para mas, another example ng PERT diagramming critical path, kasi kung makita nyo, parang same lang sila eh. Magkasin nga. Kaso iba lang yung concept na pino-point out nila. No, ito. Another example ng PERT and critical path, discussion. Siya ng laser pointer. Yun. The activity cost chart for manufacturing project Hickok Incorporation is presented below. So, ito. Pag normal operations, ito yung cost, ito yung days, ito yung activity. Now, pag crinash mo yan, meaning, minadali mo, kasi, balikan natin yung slide. Saan yung slide? Crashing, the act of activity, the act of devoting more resources, like overtime, extra crew, additional equipment, meaning, devoting more costs to activities in order to decrease its expected time. As consequence of decreased time, more cost will be incurred. So, pinaikli mo yung duration ng activity, and since pinaikli mo yan, mas madadagdagan yung cost mo. Yan si crash. Now, ito. Kung makita nyo, since ika-crash yung activity, yung cost naging 12,000. Pero napaikli yung time. Yung cost, nadagdagan. Pero yung time, napaikli. Yan si crash. Now, ano yung critical path for the manufacturing project? So, critical path, the longest path in the process, in the project. And it is also the shortest time possible to complete the project. Yan, as we discussed yung critical path kanina. So, ito yung visualization ito yung PERT chart or PERT diagram ng project. So, makita nyo, ABDB together with the normal durations, ito sila. Tapos ito, nilagay na rin yung paths, meron, si ADE, ADE, ABE, ACE, ABDE, ABCE. Yan yung, 5 paths rin meron, 23, 21, 26, 22, 23 days. Ngayon, ang tanong, what is the critical path? O kung makita nyo dito, sino yung may longest, sino yung may longest duration? Yung longest path. Di si ACE. So, si ACE. Si path ACE. Now, without any crashing, what is the shortest time possible to finish the project? Now, huwag kayong maloloko dito, O gaya dito, what is the shortest time? So, wala dito. Huwag kayong maloloko sa question na to, kasi kahit ako nagkamali dito, ewan ko sa finals exam yun o sa board exam. Finals exam natin ng college. Na yung nilagay ko sa answer na to is 21 days. Pero ang correct answer is 26 days. 26 days. Bakit? Kasi, gaya na sabi natin, si critical path, siya yung longest path sa project. Kasi, si critical path, sinasakop niya ang lahat ng activities within yung duration niya, sinasakop lahat ng activities necessary to complete the project. Yan si critical path. Kaya siya yung longest time. And siya rin yung kinoconsider na shortest time possible to complete the project. Bakit? Ngayon nasabi natin, pang ilang beses natin ito inulit. Kasi itong si critical path, since under sa kanya, lahat ng projects, lahat ng activities necessary to be completed was completed on schedule. Walang delays, walang extension. 26 days, yun yung shortest time possible kasi walang delays, walang extension. Kasi perfect yung lahat ng perfect or maayos lahat ng activities na kailangan gawin. So, shortest time possible, that is 26 days, si critical path. Now, next question. Suppose that the completion time needs to be reduced by 3 days. Kailangan mo daw mag-crash. and yung time na needed mong i-crash is 3 days. Now, what activity or activity should be crashed and how much will be the additional cost to finish the project faster? Now, considering that, dyan ka na mag-evaluate. Gagamitan mo na ng common sense and math, algebra, logic. So, alin sa kanila? Yung 3 days ang kailangan, but minimal yung cost na gagastusin. Tandaan nyo, minimum cost. Hanapin mo yung minimum cost. Yan, logic. O, ito, 2 days. Tapos madagdagan 3,000. Tapos hanap ka ng 1 day. O, 7,500. 3,000, mahal. So, dyan, partner mo na yan. Hanap mo. So, by the time, mahanap mo na yung activity AC, which is this one, yung kayang paikliin ng 3 days yung project from 11 to 8 days, from 11 to 8 days, but yung cost na madadagdagan niya is the most minimum. Yung most minimum is yung may pinakamaliit na additional cost. Kasi 14 to 50 minus 12,000 is 2250. So, yun. Sa activity AC, na kung saan, kaya niyang paikli ng 3 days yung project, yung completion, and considering na, siya yung may pinakamababang cost na dadagdagan, yung minimum cost na madadagdagan. Kasi of course, ayaw nating gumastos ng malaki. Kasi, as we know, ang goal ng mga companies is to maximize profit while minimizing cost. So, ito, lowest cost. So, last sample for critical path method and per concept. New York Building Corporation uses critical path method to monitor construction jobs. The company is currently 2 weeks behind schedule of job 181, which is subject to 10,500 per week completing penalty. Tapos ABCD has normal completion of 20 weeks and critical path ADFG HI has a normal completion time of 22 weeks. The following activities can be crashed. So, activities BC, DE, EF, cost to crash 1 week, cost to crash 10, 800. Paano naman pag 2 weeks? Ito. Now, ang tanong, what activity or activity should be crashed and what would be the total crash cost that will be incurred from crashing that activity? Now, dito kasi may dalawang options ka. Ano yun? Ang first option mo, una dito, ang isipin mo, kahit anumang choice ang pipiliin mo, mag-i-incur ka ng cost. Kahit anong choice ang pipiliin mo, mag-incur ka ng cost. Yun yung unang mindset yung sa question na to. Now, dito may dalawa kang choice. Ano yun? Either, bayaran mo yung penalty ng 2 weeks kasi delay ka ng 2 weeks sa project mo eh. Behind schedule ka ng 2 weeks. And, per week na hindi mo natatapos yung project, per week na delayed ka sa project, 10,500 yung pabayaran mo. Now, since 2 weeks ka nang behind sa project, if ever tinanggap mo na lang yung penalty, 21,000 yung gagastusin mo. Na yung second choice mo naman, apart from accepting to pay the penalty, is to crash the project. Pabilisin yung pagtapos, paikliin yung duration. Yun yung second choice mo. Now, within that second choice, binigyan ka ng options kung aling activities yung pwede mong i-crash. Si BC ba, si DE, o si EF. So, dyan. Now, dalawang options ka meron. Either tanggapin yung penalty, which is 21,500 in total, or tingnan yung mga pwede mong i-crash na activities na kung saan yung options dito is mababa sa 21,000 pesos penalty yung gagastusin mo. So yan, common sense na lang, or common sense logic na lang. So kung makita nyo, ang answer dito is activity DE, which is this one, na kung saan yung cost to 1 week lang yung ibabawas mo, and activity EF, kung saan ang ibabawas mo is 1 week rin. And with that, 2 weeks total ang crash time mo. And with that, ang total cost na ma-incur mo is 10,000 plus 8,800 is 18,800. Mas mababa sa 21,000. Now, isipin nyo na, sir, tingnan mo si BC. Cost to crash 2 weeks, 15,000 lang. Mas mababa sa 21. Si DE rin, kung ito 2 weeks mo, 19,600. Si EF, 19,500. Sir, bakit hindi ito na sila na-consider? Bakit si DE at EF, tapos 1 week pa ang kinonsider nyo? 18,800. And nandyan naman si 15,000 ng BC para paikliin nyo or pa-crash yung project. Well, tingnan nyo yung critical path, kapatid. A, D, E, F, G, H, I. Nandun ba si BC? Wala, di ba? Wala si BC dyan. Pero si DE, nandito. Si EF, nandito. So, bakit may consider si BC? Wala sa critical path. And alam natin, ang critical path yung overall duration ng project. Overall duration ng project. So, yung overall duration ang kailangan mong bawasan. And with that overall duration, nandyan si DE and EF. Yang si BC, nandito siya sa 20 weeks. Nandito siya sa 20 weeks. Sabihin na natin, crash course mo ng 2 weeks si BC. So, itong 20 weeks, naging 18 weeks. Pero napalitan ba niyan yung overall duration ng project? I don't think so. Kaya, etchapwera tong si ABCFGHI, tingnan nyo si critical path kasi sa yung overall duration ng project, and yung kailangan mong gawin sa problem na to is bawasan yung overall duration ng project from 22 weeks to 20 weeks. Considering na dapat yung minimum cost ang ma-incur mo. And considering those considerations, si activity DF, si activity DE, and si activity EF, 1 week with a cost of 18,800 is the most viable option. Now, pumunta naman tayo sa probability analysis, sa expected value concept. Now, itong problem, the owner of Masarap Donut Shop must decide between the rental of two types of donut making machine. Machine A, yung option, yung unang option, an inexpensive economy model, which rents for 1,000 pesos per month. Pero yung variable production cost is 0.025 cents per donut. Or, lang cents to. Well, sabihin natin 0.025 pesos per donut. Yung second option naman niya, si Machine B, it rents for 3,000 pesos per month. But the variable cost, or the variable production cost, is only 0.01 pesos per donut. So, makikita natin, si Machine A, yung renta niya is 1,000 pesos lang per month. Pero yung variable cost ng donut is 0.025. Si Machine B, yung second option niya, mataas yung renta, mas mataas. 3,000 pesos per month. Pero yung variable production cost ng isang donut is comparatively mas mababa. 0.01 pesos lang. Now, yung monthly demand varies between 100,000 and 190,000 donuts according to the following probabilities. Which is this one, demand 100, 120, 150, 170, 190,000. Ito yung corresponding probability nila. Si 100, 12% daw. Yung probability na 100,000 yung demand. Itong si 120, 17% yung probability na 120,000 ang demand. So on and so forth. Now, ito yung mga requirements or yung mga question. What is the expected value of the demand for donuts? And second, using the expected value approach, ano yung machine na pipiliin ni company? And ano yung magiging basis niya? Yung kung saan yung cost is mas mababa. Or kung saan mas magiging beneficial sa company. Kasi kung makita dito, ang cost. 1,000 nga lang, pero mas mataas yung variable cost. Ito, 3,000 nga ang renta, pero mas mababa naman yung variable cost. Considering na 6 digits yung demand na pwede mangyari. Now, as we can see here, balik tayo sa concept ng ng probability analysis. Ito, it deals with uncertainty. Yung mga outcomes ng alternatives. And from that, gaya dito, outcomes ng alternatives. Ito yung alternative 1. Outcomes ng alternative. Ito yung mga alternatives. Ano yung mga outcomes? Yung mga probability. Uncertain. Kung ano yung lalabas. Ngayon, ang tanong lang kasi dito is about the demand. Yung demand lang yung tanong sa ating class. Ano yung expected value ng demand for donuts? So, paano natin yan isosolve? Well, gaya na sabi natin dito, binigyan tayo ng way paano isolve yung expected value as we've discussed kanina. Pero, mas maintindihan natin yan pag nagkaroon na ng example. Wait, kinukulang naman ako ng hinga. Okay, ito yung paano sa isolve. As you can see, ito yung demand, ito yung corresponding probability nila. Lagyan natin ng corresponding probability nila. Si 100,000, 12% ang chance na pwede siyang mangyari. Si 120, 17% ang chance. Si 150, 41% ang chance. Si 170, 24% ang chance. And si 190, 6% ang chance na 119 demand. So, kung i-add nyo to, 100% yan. Now, ito yung expected value. Kung saan, minultiply lang natin with their corresponding probability, which is 100 times 12, 120 times 17%, 150 times 41, 170 times 24, and 190 times 6%. Ang kalabasan yan, 146,100 pesos. Pesos. 146,100 units yung expected value ng demand. Kasi dapat dinikit ko na unanticipated value for a given alternative, which is computed by multiplying all possible outcomes to the respective probability and summing them up. It represents the long-term average payoff from the alternative. Now dito, as you can see here, kahit anong piliin niya dyan, kahit machine A man or machine B, 146,100 units yung magiging expected value ng demand. So now, second question, using the expected value approach, ano yung magiging option ng company? Alin yung pipili niya? Si machine A ba? Na kung saan magbabayad siya ng 1,000 pesos per month as a rent, pero yung variable cost niya is comparatively mas mataas. Si machine B, na kung saan 3,000 pesos per month ang renta, comparatively mas mataas. Pero yung variable cost is 0.01 pesos lang, comparatively mas mababa. Now, dito natin malalaman. Alamin natin yung cost nila. Paano natin malalaman? Well, dito, i-add natin yung monthly. Kasi nga, ito yung monthly demand. Monthly demand. Monthly demand. So, ito, si machine A, ito yung renta niya, 1,000 pesos per month. Now, ano yung variable cost ni machine A kapag magproduce siya ng donut? Well, dito, 0.25. 0.25. Oy. 0.025. 0.025 yun 0.025. 0.025 times 146, 100. Wait lang. May mali tayo sa computation. Plus 1,000. 0.025 yan. 0.025 times 146. Kinuha ko lang calculator ko. Plus 1,000. Typo tayo sa pagsulat ng equation. Ito 0.025. Nakulangan tayo ng 0. So, yan, tama. So, 0.025 times 146,100. It's 3,652.5 plus 1,000. Which is 4,652.50. So, kay machine A, ang magagastos siya monthly with the rent and the variable cost, the variable production cost is 4,652.50 cents. Yan yung kanyang monthly cost for machine A. Now, sa machine B, ito, 3,000 ang kanyang renta. Saan yung point? 3,000. Kaso, mas mababa comparatively yung kanyang variable production cost. 0.01 lang. O, yan. So, 0.01 times 146,100 plus 3,000, 4,461 lang. So, kung makikita nyo, monthly, mas mababa yung cost na may incur ni company kapag machine B yung pipiliin niya. So, because of that, ang goal naman ng mga company is to maximize profit while minimizing cost. So, dito, or minimizing cost, dito, ito yung mababang cost. So, machine B ang pipiliin niya. Kasi, ito yung may lesser cost. Ito yung option na mas mami-minimize niya yung cost. So, yan. Punta tayo sa next example ng probability analysis. Which, ito, mas mahaba to, mas in-depth. Isang Pagita company makes corsage that it sells through salespeople on the street. Each sells for 2 pesos, o 2 pesos daw yung price, and has a variable production cost of 0.80. Now, the salespeople receives a 50 cents commission on each corsage they sell. So, may commission, Then, the company must spend 0.05 pesos to get rid of each unsold corsage. Oh, kapag hindi daw nabenta, gagastos sila ng 0.05 pesos para itapon lang to get rid of yung mga hindi nabenta. Now, the corsage lasts only for 1 week and cannot be carried in inventory. So, wala talaga silang choice. Kailangan nilang itapon, i-get rid. Now, considering this, this data, the manager of the firm had estimated per week and associated probabilities as follow. So, ito. Ganyan sabi natin. Yung 100,000 demand, probability na mangyari, 20%. 120,000 demand, 20%. 140, 30%. 160, 30%. Equal yan is 100%. Percento sila. Kung gusto nyo man lagyan ng percent, or pwede lang, kahit point decimal, okay lang. Same pa rin ang magiging answer. Now, considering this data, considering this given, may dalawang requirements tayo. Una, si optimal weekly production of the corsage. Ano daw yung optimal weekly production ng corsage? And second, ito, yung pinag-usapan din kanina, si value of perfect information. So, ano daw yung optimal weekly production of the corsage? Ito, diyan nagagamitin si payoff table. Optimal. Ano yung pinakamagandang production na pwedeng mangyari sa pag-produce ng corsage? So, gagamitin natin dyan yung payoff table, which is this one, itong sa taas. As you can see, probability, dito nakalista si 20, 20, 30, 30. Then yung demand, ito, separate to siya. Demand of 100, demand of 120, ito, 140, demand of 160. Now, itong 100, 120, 140, and 160 dito sa taas, it pertains to the purchase or the production, o yung ilan yung na-produce. So, lagyan natin para mas klaro. Production, produce. So, meaning yan, para sa tindihan, ito yung demand. Ito yung actual na gustong bumili, pwedeng mabili. Ito yung na-produce. So, ito yung demand. Ito yung available supply. Ito yung na-produce. So, yan. Ito yung demand. Ito yung supply under purchases or produce. Now, kinukulang ako ng hininga dito, kaibigan. So, ito, pesos to sila. Kalimutan ko lagyan ng pesos. Pesos to sila. Now, Anong next natin gagawin? Alam natin na ito yung demand. Ito naman yung supply, purchase, yung ma-produce, yung available stock. Now, considering that, kung makikita nyo, ulang lang hininga, 2 pesos yung sales price. 2 pesos yung sales price. 2 pesos. Then, may production cost siya na 0.80. 0.80. So, 0.80, yan lang ba yung kikitain niya? Hindi. Yung difference ba nito, which is 1.2, yan na ba yung take home niya sa nabenta? Hindi, kasi may kailangan pa siyang bayaran na 0.50 pesos. May kailangan pa siyang bayaran na 0.50 pesos. So, minus 0.50. Ang take home niya is 0.070. 70 cents ang take home niya. So, tandaan niyo yan. 70 cents yung take home niya. Yung net na matatanggap niya. Kasi, 2 pesos ngayon sales price. May variable production cost na 80 cents. Tapos, magbabayad pa siya ng commission fee, which is 50 cents. So, per course ads na nabebenta, ang take home niya is 70 cents. Now, tandaan nyo yan. Now, dito, pakinggan nyo yung logic ng payoff table. Ngayon, dito sa nag-purchase si company ng 100,000 corsage. Nag-purchase si company ng 100,000 na corsage. Now, yung demand is 100,000. So, meaning na yan, nag-purchase siya ng 100, sakto yung demand 100,000 din. So, kung ilan yung supply, yun din yung demand, nabenta niya lahat ng corsage. Now, since nabenta niya lahat ng 100,000 corsage na na-produce niya, i-multiply mo yun sa 0.70, 70,000 yung take home niya. 70,000 yung net profit niya. Yung net na kinita niya. Now, punta tayo sa second probability na mangyari, which is 20%, 120,000. Now, considering this, 100,000 yung na-produce niya, pero yung demand, 120,000. So, ibig sabihin, na-produce niya 100,000 lang, pero yung gustong bumili is 120,000, hindi siya pwedeng tumaas ng 70,000. Kasi yung na-produce niya lang is 100,000. Kahit na 120,000 yung gustong bumili. So, with that, constant 70,000 to sila. Same dito, kahit 140,000 yung gustong bumili, pero 100,000 lang yung supply niya, 70,000 pesos lang yung pwede niyang kitain. Kasi, hindi niya pwedeng masatisfy yung additional demand. Yung additional demand na 20, yung additional demand na 40K, yung additional demand na 60K. Constant, since 100,000 lang yung na-produce niya, 100,000 lang yung pwede niyang mabenta kahit na mataas yung demand. Kaya constant dito na 70,000 pesos lang yung take home pay niya. So yan, dito sa Now, pumunta tayo sa 120,000 produce or purchase. Dito naman sa scenario na to, itong si company, nag-produce siya ng 120,000 corsage. Nag-produce siya ng 120,000 corsage. Kaso, yung probability na yung demand dito is 100,000 lang. So, kawawa siya. Nag-produce siya ng 120, pero yung demand lang sa product na yun is 100,000. So, may extra siyang or may natira siyang stock na 20,000. So, considering that, yung net pay niya is 53,000 lang, yung net income niya. Na, sir, paano naging 53,000? Sana, bakit hindi 70? Or bakit hindi mas since 100,000 lang yung nabenta niya? Bakit naging 53,000 pesos lang yung kinita niya, sir? Well, tingnan nyo, balikan nyo yung problem. Ang sabi dito, kapag may hindi siya nabenta, gagasto siya ng 0.05 pesos to get rid of each unsold corsage. So, pag may hindi siya nabenta, kailangan niya yung i-get rid. Kailangan niya yung tapunin. Na kapag tatapunin niya yun, may incur siyang cost na 0.05 pesos. Kaya dito, nabawasan ng kinita niya. Kahit na 100,000 yung nabenta niya, kasi yun yung demand, kaso may natirang 20,000, kailangan niyang itapon yung 20,000 na yun. So, pag itatapon niya yung 20,000 na yun, gagastos siya. Now, which makikita nyo dito sa equation na to sa baba. So, ito yung 53,000. Ito. Now, dito, yung supply is 120,000, yung na-produce niya. Minus 100,000 kasi yun lang yung demand. Imumultiply mo yan sa 0.85 peso. Bakit 0.85 peso? Kasi as we can see, para ma-produce yung isang corsage, kailangan niya ng 80 cents. Yun yung variable production cost para ma-produce yung isang corsage. So, nandito siya. Ito yung cost. Now, idadagdag ba natin yung 50 cents? Hindi, kasi magbabayad ka lang ng 50 cents kapag may nabentang corsage. Eh, dito may natirang 20,000. So, hindi mo siya isasali kasi hindi nabenta yung 20,000. So, hindi kasali si 50 cents. Now, itong si 0.05 cents, ito yung kasali. Bakit? Kasi yung 20,000 na natira, hindi nabenta. And you need to get rid of it. And getting rid of it requires a 0.05 peso of expense per corsage. So, kaya kasama siya dito. So, with that, 0.80 plus 0.05, 0.85 yung total cost na may incur ng company for that excess 20,000 corsage. So, 20,000 yung hindi nabenta. Bakit? Kasi yung na-produce niya is 120,000 pero yung demand is 100,000 lang. So, may 20,000 na hindi nabenta. Ito yun, yung excess. So, 20 times 0.85 pesos is 17,000 pesos. Is 17,000 pesos. Yan yung additional cost na na-incur ng company because of that excess of 20,000 corsage. Now, bakit naging 53? Well, consider na nakabenta siya ng 100 kasi yung demand 100. So, meron siyang 70,000 pesos na kinita. Kalimutan lagyan peso sign. So, meron siyang 70,000 na kinita. Ito yun, di ba? Kasi, ito yung net pay niya kada corsage na mabenta. So, 70,000 minus the additional cost of 17,000, ang net pay niya na lang is 53,000. Kaya dito, 53,000. So, yan. Now, punta tayo sa second scenario, sa second probability. 20% of chances na 120,000 yung demand or yung bibili sa kanya. Now, considering na 120,000 yung na-produce niya, then, sakto, 120,000 din yung demand, yung gustong bumili, o yung nabenta, o yung mabibenta. Then, wala siyang gagastusin na 0.05 kasi kung ilan yung na-produce niya, yun din yung nabenta niya. So, 120,000, sakto, yung demand, sakto sa na-produce niya, 120,000 times 0.70, which is the net pay per corsage, net income per net profit per corsage. 120 times 0.70 is 84,000. Kaya dito 84. Now, punta tayo dito sa dalawang to. Now, dito sa circumstance na to, 140,000 yung demand. Kaso, 120,000 lang yung na-produce niya. So, hindi niya mapu-fulfill or masasatisfy yung extra demand. So, kaya, constant na 84,000 lang yung na-maintain niya na 84,000 lang yung kikitain niya. 120,000 times 0.70 kasi kahit na 140,000 yung demand, meron lang siyang available stock na 120, hindi na satisfy yung excess demand, kaya 84,000 lang yung net profit niya, yung net kikitain niya. Same with this 160,000. Kahit na 160,000 in demand, ang available stock niya is 120. So, hindi niya masasatisfy yung excess 40,000 demand. Kaya, constant, 120 times 0.70, 184,000 lang yung net profit na kikitain niya. So, dito yan. Na pumunta tayo sa 140,000 yung na-produce. So, same logic lang. Same logic lang talaga. So, dito, meron yung company na available stock of 140,000 kasi yung demand 100,000 lang. So, may excess kang 40,000. Now, since may excess kang 40,000, wala kang choice. Kailangan mong i-get rid dyan. So, gagastos ka ng 0.05 per corsage. Which, itong 36,000 pesos na to, yung magiging net profit ni company with this scenario. Which, makikita nyo, dito yung 36,000. So, makita nyo, 140,000, which is the available stock, yung supply, minus the 100,000, kung saan ito lang yung demand. So, may excess na 40,000 corsage na hindi nabenta. Now, considering na per corsage, 80 cents yung nagastos. And, you need to get rid of it. So, that's additional 0.05 cents, 0.05 peso. So, per corsage, per excess corsage, 0.85 yung cost. So, 40,000 times 0.85 is 34,000. Now, since kahit na 140,000 yung na-produce mo, nakabenta ka lang ng 100,000, so 100,000 times 0.70 is 70,000. Ito yun, minus the additional cost of 34,000 because of the excess 40,000. So, ang net profit na lang, ang net kikitain ng company is 36,000. So, kaya, dito, sa scenario na to, 36,000 na lang ang kanyang kinita. Now, dito naman, 120,000. Ang demand, na meron siyang available stock na 140. So, same logic rin. Dito, 67. Oh, same logic na ito sa lahat. Pero pagdating dito, may available siyang 140,000. Available stock. Tapos yung demand, sakto. 140,000 din. So, walang additional cost. 140,000 times 0.70 is 98,000 pesos. Same rin dito, kahit na may excess demand, hindi niya yung masasatisfy, hindi niya yung mafulfill, kaya 98,000. Now, punta naman tayo sa kung saan nakapag-produce siya ng 160,000 corsage. So, same logic, 100,000. Pag 100,000, yung demand, pag 120, 140, or 160, nandito yung solution nila, 19,000, ito. Yung 50,000, nandito sa kabila. Yung 81,000, nandito naman. Now, pagdating dito sa demand na 160, sakto na produce niya 160 din. Walang additional cost, 160 times walang additional cost dahil sa excess na So, buong buo, 160 times 0.70 pesos, 112,000 pesos yung kikitain niya, yung net profit niya. So, yan si payoff table. Pinapakita niya yung mga possible outcomes per alternative. So, ito, pag mag-produce 100, pag 120, 140, 160, tapos pag ito yung demand, ano yung mga effect nila per alternative. So, yan. Kasi ito yung mga alternatives niya eh. Paano pag nag-produce ako ng 100,000? Tapos, ito yung mga possible outcomes. Pag 100,000, ilan yung kikitain ko? Pag 120, ilan yung kikitain ko? Pag 140, ilan? Pag 160, ilan? Now, ito yung second alternative. Paano pag yung company? Paano pag nag-decide ako, 120,000 yung ipoproduce ko? Ano yung mga possible outcomes? Kapag 100 lang yung demand, kapag 120 yung demand, kapag 140 or 160. Ito naman yung third alternative. Paano pag nag-produce ako ng 140,000? Ano yung mga pwede kong kitain sa mga possible outcome na 100, 120, 140, 150? And same logic rin kay 160,000. Yan si payoff table for the probability analysis. Kaso, hindi pa dyan nagtatapos yung question. Ang tanong kasi, ano yung optimal weekly production of the corsage? dito na papasok sa expected value. Kasi, may mali ako nalagay dito. Hindi to demand, but rather produce. Kasi ang alternative mo is ilan yung ipoproduce mo, hindi yung ilan yung magiging demand. Kasi wala kang control sa demand. May control ka lang sa ilan yung ipoproduce mo. So, produce to, produce or purchase. So, same lang dito. Nagka-typo ako sa typo, nagmali ang ilagay ko eh. So, produce siya. Bakit produce? Kasi ito, may option ka. Choice mo to. Kasi sa demand, wala kang control. Pero sa kung ilan yung ipoproduce mo o ilan yung ipapurchase mo, may control ka. Kung gusto mo 100, edi 100. Kung gusto mo 120, kung gusto mo 140, or kung gusto mo 160. Kaso, hindi ka lang basta-basta pipili. Tingnan mo kung alin sa kanila yung best alternative. Yung best, yung highest payoff, yung pinakamataas yung kikitain mo. Now, considering the paano mag-solve ng expected value, kapag magproduce ka ng 100,000, ito, 70 yung kikitain. Itong 70 pesos yan na. So, expected value, probability, times probability, expected outcome, times probability, outcome, which is 70,000 pesos. Dito naman, kapag magproduce ka ng 120,000, ano yung magiging expected value mo? Well, ito, 50,000 pesos times 20 times the alternative, blah, 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 etc. Add mo, 77,800. Dito naman, kapag magproduce ka ng 140, ano ang expected value mo? Same. Itong mga value na to, nakuha to sa payoff table. Ito, ito sila. Makikita nyo. So, ito, same rin kay 160. 71,700. Now, kung makikita nyo, alin sa kanila ang may best payoff? Alin sa kanila ang best alternative? Ang may highest payoff. EDC, 79,400. Ang hinahanap naman, yun kasi ang optimal weekly production of CORSADs. Optimal, ibig sabihin, the best option. And since ito yung may best payoff, may best alternative, highest payoff, ito yung ito yung best alternative. Kaya, with that, yung corresponding production niya is 140,000. Kaya, the final answer for the requirement 1 is optimal production is 140,000 because it gives the highest payoff, which is 79,400. Highest expected value. Corresponding niya 140,000 production. Kaya, ito yung pinaka-appropriate na i-produce ng company. 140,000 CORSADs. Now, pumunta tayo sa second requirement. The value of perfect information is what? Ano daw yung value ng perfect information? Now, ano ba yung formula niya at the first place? Ito, binigyan tayo. Expected value of perfect information, which is the expected value with perfect information minus the expected value of best choice. Now, ano ba yung expected value with perfect information? Paano siya nakukuha? Well, dito. So, itong sa second part na to. Kung makikita nyo, 70 times 20, 84 times 20, 98 times 30, plus 112 times 30. Kung makita nyo, itong mga 70, 84, 98, 112. Ito, yung mga highest. Ulitin natin. Ito yung mga highest payoff per alternative. Ito yung mga highest payoff per alternative. For 100,000 100,000 core charge alternative, 70 yung highest. Lahat sila 70 eh. 4D, 120,000 alternative, 84 yung highest. 4D, 140,000 alternative, 98 yung highest. 4D, 160,000 alternative, 112 yung highest. So with that, corresponding 20, 20, o joke, mali yung pattern. Kung makita nyo, since per probability probability so kung makita nyo, tama na. Per alternative kasi, per alternative. So, tama na explanation. So, ito yung mga highest per alternative. With their ay, joke. Mali. Baliktad. Baliktad. Ulitin natin. Kita nyo, 70 sa 20, 84 sa 20, 98 sa 30, and 112 sa 30. So, makita nyo, balik tayo sa payoff table. For the 20% probability, this 70,000 yung highest payoff. For the 20% probability here, on the demand of 120, the highest payoff is 84,000. For this probability of 30%, for the demand of 140,000, the highest payoff is 98,000. And lastly, for this demand of 30%, for this probability of 30%, with the demand of 160,000, the highest payoff would be 112,000 pesos. Now, considering these factors, input this into this equation. The highest payoff for the 20% 100,000 demand is 70, 84 dito, 98 kay 30, 112. So, multiply that, add them, summation, etc. The expected value with perfect information is 93,800 pesos. Now, punta tayo sa equation ng expected value perfect information, which is expected value with perfect information, which is 93,000 pesos to sila, minus the expected value of the best choice. Kasi, kung makita natin dito sa sinob natin, best choice si mag-produce ng 140,000 kasi ang kikitain mo is the highest one. Best payoff, highest payoff, 179,400, which is the corresponding price of the 140,000 production. So, kaya 79,400 yung expected value of best choice. So, 93,800 minus 79,400 pesos, the expected value of perfect information is 14,400. Now, sir, anong point niyan? Well, mas magiging klaro yung point niyan with this example. Let's say, yung expected value of best choice mo, ikaw nag-solve niyan. So, naisip mo, yung expected value ng choice mo is 79,400. But, ang problema dyan is, that is with uncertainty. Uncertainty. Sinolve mo yan with uncertainty kung ano yung outcome na mangyayari. Now, yung si perfect information, gaya ng sabi dito sa kanya, sa definition niya, the knowledge that an event will occur with certainty. Certainty. So, the knowledge that it will occur with certainty. So, yung yan si expected value with perfect information. Ito usually, ito yung, let's say, sabihin natin na mayroong marketing group na nag-offer sa'yo na, sasabihin namin sa'yo kung ano yung optimal alternative, sasabihin namin sa iyo kung ano yung optimal alternative na kung saan kapag ito yung decision mo, sure na ito yung best choice. Yan yung sasabihin ni marketing group. So, ang offer namin is 93,800. Kapag yan yung offer nila, tanggapin mo na. Kasi yan yung expected value with perfect information. Yan yung maximum price na tatanggapin mo for that information. Ulitin natin. Itong si 79,400, sa expected value of best choice mo, kinompute mo yan considering na may mga uncertainties. So, hindi ka sure kasi may mga uncertainties. Nag-depend ka lang sa probability. Now, itong si 93,800, yan yung presyo ng information. Yan yung price ng information with certainty. Na kung saan, let's say, itong si marketing group, bibenta sa'yo yung perfect information na, oy, kapag ito yung bibigyan ka ng data, bebentahan ka ng data na kung saan sabi niya, oy, ito yung pag nakuha mo tong data na to, malalaman mo kung ano yung mga certain na magiging outcomes. Kaso, hindi libre tong ibibigay naming data. May bayad to. Now, considering that, yung magiging maximum amount ng data na binibenta sa'yo, yung data na may expected value with perfect information, is maximized to 93,800. Kapag 93,800 yung presyo na ibebenta nila sa yung data, tanggapin mo. Pero kapag lumampas sila ng 93,800 sa presyo ng perfect information na binibenta nila sa iyo, wag mo nang tanggapin. Yun yung value ni expected value with perfect information. Sa management class kasi ito klase, sa management class talaga. Ngayon, tingnan mo yung difference nila. Expected value of perfect information. Itong si 93,800, don't be confused, expected value with perfect information. Itong si expected value of perfect information is the difference of the expected value with perfect information and expected value of best choice. So, expected value of perfect information is 14,400. So, anong meaning yan? Itong si 93,800, which is EV with PI, perfect information, ito yung maximum amount na babayaran mo just to be able to get that perfect information. Ito namang si expected value of perfect information. Meaning lang yan, kasi since yung difference, ito yung maximum amount na additionally babayaran mo to get that perfect information. So, yun lang. Sample lang yun. Bakit ko sinabing sample na yun? Kasi para mas maintindihan nyo kung ano yung value ng expected value of perfect information and expected value of perfect information. Kasi usually, sa management class to, dinidiscuss. As in management class for business courses. I guess meron na-discuss to sa inyo sa management class. Pretty sure na-discuss to sa inyo. So, yan lang. Sinabi ko lang example na yun para mas maintindihan nyo kung ano yung importance nito. Ano yung concept niya. Now, pumunta tayo sa si linear programming. So, ito parang basic problem to sa linear programming kasi ang importante dito, mag-gets nyo yung concept. And usually, sa linear programming, especially pagdating sa board exam, hindi yan nagbibigay ng simplex method. Kasi yung simplex method, napaka-komplikado niyan. Nagiging madali yan kapag itatype mo sa Excel. Pero pag on the spot mo gagawin, pen and paper with calculator, mahirap yan. Usually kasi, lalo na sa board exam, graphic method yan or algebraic method. Paano yan? Well, discuss natin dito sa problem. Now, hubos na ako sa ininga. Si Kapayapaan Corporation manufactures product C and product A which are processed as follow. So, dalawang product daw yung minamanufacture niya. Si product C, under kay type D machine, 6 hours. Under kay type B machine, 4 hours. Si product A naman, under kay type D machine, 9 hours. Under kay type B machine, 5 hours. Now, the contribution margin is 12 pesos para kay product C, 7 pesos naman para kay product A. Tandaan nyo yan, kasi mga constraint, sa objective, tandaan nyo mga ganitong value, especially ito, kasi dyan na papasok mga objective function, constraint function. Then, the available time daily for processing the two products is 120 hours for machine type D, and 80 hours for machine type B. So, yan na. Kung mapapansin nyo, may constraints na binigay. May limitations. Kasi ang constraints is limitation on what you can do. And ano yung mga constraints dito? Well, dito, 120 hours lang yung pwedeng oras na gamitin si machine type D. Average time daily for processing the two products is 120 hours. And 80 hours kay machine type B. Constraints sila. So, ito na mga requirements. So, tandaan yan. Contribution margin, 12, 7. Ito yung needed time to process each product for each type of machine. Then, hindi mo pwede ma-maximize yung machine kasi may constraint ka na 120 hours para kay type D, 80 hours para kay type B. Then, ito yung requirements. Ito usually yung tanong sa board exam. Ano yung objective function ni kapayapaan? Ano yung constraints niya? And to be able to achieve their objective function while considering all constraints, how many units of product A and C should be produced? How much is the contribution margin from the best alternative? Now, punta naman tayo kay objective function. As you can see here, alamin mo muna kung ano yung mga variables kasi kung matatandaan nyo sa steps, tandaan nyo itong mga steps na ito. Define the variables. Establish the objective function. Establish the constraints. Then, establish the alternatives that are possible. How? Using the graphic method, using the algebraic method, or using the simplex method. Or kung gusto pa, kung mahirap talaga, meron pang trial and error approach. Then, apply the alternative to the objective function. Ito, gagawin natin yan. So, ito yung variables. Si product C, obviously. Si A, si product A, obviously. Now, objective function. Ano ba yung gagawin? Ano ba yung objective mo? Ano yung goal mo? Well, babalikan natin para mas maintindihan nyo. Dalawa, maximize revenue or minimization of operating cost. Yan yung magiging objective nyo. Yan yung magiging goal nyo. And yung goal nyo yan, ita-translate nyo yan into a mathematical function. Which is this one. Maximize control margin. Ano ito? Maximize DCM. Maximize DCM. Which is the contribution margin. I-maximize nyo. Basically, maximize the profit. And paano niya magagawa? 12 is the contribution margin for C. 7 is the contribution margin for A. So, 12C times 7A. Na kung saan, per 1 unit of C, 12 pesos yung contribution margin. Per 1 unit of A, 7 pesos yung contribution margin. So, yan yung objective function nyo. To maximize the contribution margin. Depending on the how many products of C and how many products of A ang kailangan nyong ma-produce or ang pwede nyong ma-produce. Yan yan ang objective function. Objective, ano yung goal? Ano yung goal? Translated into mathematical function, which is this one. Maximize the contribution margin, which is 12C plus 7A. So yan, may answer na kayo sa number 1. Sa board exam, ganito rin yan. Ano yung tinatanong? Objective function. Now, pumunta tayo sa second requirement, which is ano daw yung constraint sa production process. O yan, binigyan kayo. Ito, yung 120 hours for machine type D and 80 hours for machine type B. So, makita nyo, may tatlong constraints meron. Una, Yung average time daily lang na pwede mong gamitin si machine type D is 120 hours. Yan lang yung average time daily na pwede mo siyang gamitin. So, maximum of 120 hours. Greater than 120 is greater than or less than this 6C plus 9A. O ano meaning yan? Kita nyo dito. Para makapag-produce ka ng product C under type D, you need 6 hours per product C. Para kay type B naman, para kay type A naman, you need 9 hours per product A para makapag-produce under kay type D machine. So, ito na yun sila. Si 6C plus si 9A. O dito, nilagay ko type D. So, anong meaning yan? In total, pwede ka lang gumamit ng 120 hours ng machine type D. And with that, yan yung maximum amount or maximum time na pwede kang mag-produce, pwede mong gamitin. And with that, ilan yung i-allocate mo para kay product C, ilan yung ma-allocate mo para kay product A. Ilang product C ang pwede mong i-produce or pwede mong i-manufacture under kay machine type D. Ilan yung product A na pwede mong ma-manufacture under kay machine type D. Kaya dito, hindi pwedeng lumampas ng 120 hours yung machine hours na gagamitin mo under kay machine type D. Limited ka lang talaga sa 120 hours. Ngayon, itong another constraint mo is 80 hours of machine type B. Machine type B. So, kung saan, hindi pwedeng lumampas ng 80 hours yung average time daily mo para sa machine type B. Constraint ka niyan. And with that, ito, 80 hours. Which is greater than or less than, which is greater than or equal to 4C plus 5A. Ano itong si 4C plus 5A? Same sa taas. Para makapag-produce ka ng product C under type B, you need 4 hours. Para makapag-produce ka ng product A under type B machine, you need 5 hours. So with that, 4C plus 5A. Yung total nito, hindi pwedeng lumampas ng 80 hours kasi limited to 80 hours lang yung pwede mong gamitin si type B. So, ulitin natin, 120 hours yung constraint mo kay type D machine, kung saan yung paggamit mo para makapag-produce ng product C and product A under kay type D machine, hindi pwedeng lumampas ng 120 hours. Same dito kay type B machine. Now, another constraint is, balikan natin, di ba? Sabi dito, pang bonus na. Itong si non-negativity constraint. Kung saan yung variable number of units should never be lower than 0. O kita nyo, product C and product A should be greater than or equal to 0. Hindi ka pwedeng mag-negative product C, negative product A kasi negative ang na-produce mo kay product C, negative ang na-produce mo kay product A. Walang sense, di ba? So, dapat at least 0 pataas yung na-produce mo kay product C or kay product A. So, yan yung third constraint. Ngayon, punta tayo sa requirement 3. To be able to achieve their objective function while considering all constraints, how many units of product A and product C should be produced? And with that, how much is the contribution margin from the best alternative? So, yan. Sinasabi niya, ang objective mo is to maximize the contribution margin. Kaso may mga constraints ka. Limited lang yung oras na pwede mong gamitin yung mga machine. 120 hours kay type D, 80 hours naman kay type B. Now, considering all those factors, ilang units ang pwede mong ma-produce na product C and or product A para ma-maximize mo yung contribution margin ng iyong production. Para ma-maximize mo yung contribution margin. Ano yun dyan yung best alternative? So with that, titingnan natin yung dalawang approach available, which is first, the graphic approach, which is this one, which balikan natin. Sana hindi kayo nahihilo sa pabalik-balik ng slides. Dito, ito yung mga pwede mong gamitin. Assumption of only producing one product and therefore the other product is 0 under sa graphic method. And gagamitin natin yung algebraic approach, solving for linear equation with two variables either by elimination or substitution. Dito ang gagamitin natin is elimination. So ito graphic method to. And gaya na sabi kanina, assumption of only producing one product. So dito, let's say, if product C is equals to 0, wala kang iproproduce na product A. Wala kang iproproduce na product C. Ilang product A ang pwede mong ma-produce na kung saan na pwede mong ma-produce. Na considering that, ito yung equation. If C is equals to 0, A is what? So 120 for the first constraint. So 6C plus 9A. So ito na. Substitute C with 0. 120, 6 times 0 plus 9A. To, sabi ko sa inyo, math talaga to eh. Nagiging math talaga, kaya minsan na mahirap. So, be that 6 times 0 is 0. So, ang natira, 120 times, 120 is greater than or equal to 9A. So, ito, math. I-isolate mo yung A, tanggalin mo, i-isolate mo kasi yung A ang hinanap natin. So, divided by 9. So, A is equal, 120 divided by 9 is 13. So, A is equals to 13.33, pero kailangan mo siyang i-whole number because we're talking about products. So, hindi yan pwede mga 13.5 product. Pero minsan kasi may mga ginagamit na kung saan, kung may 0.33 dyan, assume additional product. Pero hindi natin pwede gamitin yun dito kasi you are constrained. You are limited. Hindi ka pwedeng lumampas. So, 13 lang talaga ang pwedeng ma-produce. Pero may mga problems na kung saan kapag 13.33 ganito, product or units, minsan kino-consider yan as 14. Pero dito, since you are constrained from producing additional products, hindi ka pwedeng lumampas ng 13.33, and since hindi ka pwedeng mag-produce ng 13.33 of a unit o units, so 13 as a whole ang gagamitin mo. Now, dito naman tayo sa second constraint, which is the 80 hours. So, same lang, 80 for C, substitute na C, natira to, 80 5A, isolate natin ang A, so divided by 5 on both sides. So, A is equals to 16. But, since we are sinabi dito, A is 13, tapos dito A is 16. Choose the lower one. A is equals to 13. Choose the lower one, A is equals to 13. Now, pumunta tayo sa sa what if. Dito kasi, C yung 0. So, dito naman, consider natin na A yung 0. So, same process class, math, etc. 6C plus 9 times 0, isolate, natira is 120 times 120 greater than or equal to 6C. Isolate ang C is equals to 20. Same process rin dito. C 20 rin ang answer. So C is equals to 20. C is equals to 20. Yan kay tawag dito, kay algebraic graphic approach. So, pumunta naman tayo kay algebraic approach. Ito na yung elimination ang gagamitin natin dito. Excuse me. Now, 120, ilagay nyo equals to 6C plus 9A, and 80 equals to 4C plus 5A. Now, since elimination method to, hanapin yung least common multiple, least common multiple. For this case, yung least common multiple ng C, ng 6 and 4, which is 12, which is 2 and 3, kasi 12 So yan, 2 times 126 and 9, 3 times 80, 4 and 5, 240, 12C plus 18A, 240, 12C plus 15A, elimination method, 0, 0 plus 3A. So ang natira, 0 is equals to 3A. So, isolate ang A. So, divided by 3 on both sides, A is equals to 0. 0 divided by 3 is 0. So, A is equals to 0. Dito naman, same approach. Pero ang hanapin natin ngayon is yung A, si product A. So, same, least common multiple. 5 times 120 times 6 times 9, 9 times 80, 9 times 4, 9 times 5, 600 is equals to 30C plus 45A, 720 is equals to 36 plus 45A, 0, negative 20 equals to negative 6C plus 0, isolate ang C, divided by negative on both sides, C is equals to 20. Now, sir, paano yan sir? Marami kang sinabi sir. Marami kang sinabi sir. Ito, 813. Dito naman, 20 sir. Tapos dito, meron na naman sir. Tapos dito naman sir, ano yan? Paano ka nakarating sa final answer na to? Well, tingnan nyo class. Diba? Ang tinatanong natin is best alternative. So, hindi ko nilagay dito yung kasi yung surprise, charot. Para example, nila gets. Tingnan nyo, 13. A is equals to 13. Now, balikan natin yung steps. Dito, nakita nyo. Establish alternatives that are possible given the constraint. Na-lista mo na lahat ng alternatives. Meron ka ng available alternatives. Now, anong gagawin mo sa mga alternatives na yon? Apply the alternatives to the objective function. Meaning, palitan mo na yung variables. Exchange mo na, i-substitute mo na yung mga variables. Which in this case, 13 for this alternative, for this particular alternative, A is equals to 13. So, 12C. So, 12 is equals to 0 plus 7 times 13 is equals to 7 times 13 is equals to 91. So, yan yung contribution margin for this alternative. Now, si 20. Ano naman yung kanyang contribution margin if A is 0? So, 12 times 20 plus 7 times 0 kasi 0 is A eh. Tapos ang C is 20. Ayusin natin to. 20. So, 12 times 20. Wait lang. 12 times 20. Mali ang kan. 12 times 20. Lakas sila na calculator ko. 12 times 20 is 240. Uy na. Kita nyo. 240. So, itong alternative na to, where C is equals to 0, ang contribution margin niya is 91 lang. Pero dito, where A is equals to 0, C is equals to 20, ang contribution margin niya is 240. Mas mataas. And as we know, maximize the contribution margin. Maximize the contribution margin. Maximize the contribution margin, which is 240 pesos. Now, tingnan nyo dito sa algebraic approach. Tingnan nyo dito sa algebraic approach. Kung mapapansin nyo, same dito sa taas. Kung saan si A is 0. Kung saan si C is 20. And that will produce a 240 contribution margin rin. So, as we can see, it corroborated, it supported the graphic approach na kung saan ang best alternative is mag-produce si company ng 20 units of product C and 0 units of product A. So, the final answer is, for the product A, 0 units, wala kang ipoproduce. For the product C, 20 units ang iyong ipoproduce. And with that, ano yung contribution margin mo? It's 240 pesos. And that is the contribution margin that will maximize the benefit to the company. So as we can see, yan yung purpose ni linear programming. So, napakamat, di ba? Napagod ako. So yan, I hope naintindihan niyo yung discussion. Kung may question man kayo, chat lang kayo sa akin. Bye-bye. Napagod ako.